Nasty stuff. Thank you, David Schuster. Michael Isikoff is an investigative reporter for Newsweek, and Mark Green's president of Air America Radio. Gentlemen, you start, Michael. You're one of the best investigative reporters, if not the best in town, next to, say, Bob Woodward. What do you make of these documents? You got them in your hand now. They seem to be heavily redacted. What is the administration hiding here about the role played by the current Attorney General?
Well, frankly, that's what's so amazing about this. It underscores how little we know about one of the most significant and fiercest internal disputes in the entire Bush administration. This is an episode where, according to Comey's testimony and supported by our reporting and others, there was the entire upper echelon of the Justice Department was prepared to resign. John Ashcroft was prepared to resign. James Comey, the deputy, FBI Director Mueller, because they felt that the president was moving ahead on a program that was not authorized by the law. He was doing something that was essentially illegal. And we, to this day, do not understand the full contours of that debate and what it was about and why so many people at the upper levels of the Justice Department felt so strongly that they were prepared to take the most dramatic step possible. And, you know, these notes, when you look at them, I mean, it's amazing because all the relevant. All right, here it is, the meeting March 12, 2004. Mueller is at the White House. President called me into the side office of the Oval Office after we concluded our morning brief of him. Everything else is blacked out. Everything else everything they talked about. So here you have the president and the FBI director sort of duking it out. The one that grabbed me when we went through these. Yeah.
Looking through these documents, and I want to bring Mark in on this, what grabbed me as a student of the vice president, Dick Cheney, is the fact that he called these folks, including the FBI director, into his office for a secret meeting. What's the vice president doing here with no executive authority? Apparently he's not a member of the legislative branch or the executive branch at all, dictating how we surveil people, how we go past the Constitution if necessary. There it is, looking at it right now. You know, you get called into the VP's office for what? What are they doing in there? And now we find out that the FBI director's own documents, his own diary basically say that these guys went in and strong-armed and rubber-hosed practically Ashcroft to get him to agree to this surveillance program, which the other guys felt was totally unconstitutional.
Chris,
Mark,
are you asking me? You said it better than I could, so let me pass. Look, we have covert agents in this government, you know, for 200 years. We now have a covert administration. They leak little, disclose less, and while Congress was effectively an extension of the West Wing, we found out nothing until the 110th Congress. And now, honorable conservative Bushies are contradicting the Attorney General of the United States. People like John Negroponte, who was the National Intelligence Director, and Michael Hayden, who went on to the CIA, of course, FBI Director Mueller, and Deputy Attorney General Comey. These four people all have in effect said that Attorney General Gonzales has lied, not about one event, and you can always split hairs. 4 or 5 times, and you and Mr. Schuster indicated them, there is an aspect of serial perjury that any normal president, acting on the merits rather than just pure loyalty, which is why one congressman with several others are trying to consider impeachment, which is an extraordinary remedy, but a necessary safety valve if the president won't do his job.
You know, you got James Comey here, as Mark did point out. James Comey, the former Deputy Attorney General. You've got the current attorney, the past Attorney General, John Ashcroft. You've got the FBI Director, all pointing out what's apparently the strong-arm tactics of this crowd, Gonzales and Andy Card, and their perjury. What are you hearing from the White House, Michael? Are they going to do anything, or is this just they're never going to change on this guy Gonzales?
No, they've got the ultimate trump on this. It's as far as they're concerned, this is all a classified intelligence program, and it can't be discussed publicly.
So it's this redacting and this censoring of documents.
Well, interestingly enough, in the letter that the Justice Department sent accompanying these notes, it did not cite national security classification as the reasons for redacting. It cited the fact that the FBI director needed to have confidential advice with the Attorney General and the president in order to do his job, and therefore on the privilege ground that they were redacting it. But look, clearly, my main point is it's really hard to have an intelligent debate about what is going on, what was going on then, and what is going on now when so much is blacked out, when so much is classified. To form hard and fast conclusions about whether what they're doing is within the orbit of the law or not, we don't know. We know that a FISA judge, a federal intelligence judge, found that the program, even as reconstituted earlier this year, the judge shot it down. That was a pretty major step. That ruling was classified, and nobody knew about it until Newsweek reported about it.
Mark, you're a lawyer. If you go into court and you say, I remember and recall something, and you have the distinguishing important characteristic of being the FBI director, who's seen as somewhat nonpartisan, that's one thing. But when several days later you discover you have notes, contemporary notes, which completely identify what happened at a session, here he is saying that Godfather scene, it's been called at the hospital, wherein Gonzales and Card basically strong-armed a man who was basically under sedation into agreeing to something he wouldn't agree to. And now the guy's got his diary saying that's exactly what happened. It sounds to me like a jury would buy that in a perjury case.
I agree. By the way, your Godfather reference, which you've made before, is invited by Bush, who actually calls Gonzales Fredo. One has a hard time believing he's ever seen Godfather 2, that he would go ahead. Listen,
well, because Michael, I think we refer to Fredo as he's my brother, but he is weak. I mean, that's not exactly what you want to call your attorney general.
Look, Michael and Newsweek get credit for breaking so much of this story, but let me, if I could, disagree with him in one respect.
Right.
He said it's hard to have a debate or an indictment about intelligence when you can't go public. Here's what we know, however. Attorney General Gonzales said, I didn't attend meetings and I had no role in firing 9 U.S. attorneys. His own staff, Mr. Simpson and Monica Goodling, testified under oath he was at the meeting. He said there was no serious dispute about wireless wiretapping. Under oath, Justice Department officials have said there was a tremendous disagreement. Attorney General Gonzales said he knows of no instance where the FBI violated or abused the Patriot Act. The Washington Post reported there were 6 reports to him before he said that of the FBI and Mueller, honorably, admitting they had done it. Time after time. Look, we're dealing with something we haven't seen before. Remember when Richard Nixon told David Frost, if the president does it, it's legal, even if it goes against the statutory laws.
I saw the play.
So did I. And what's happened is George Bush and Alberto Gonzales now are taking the Nixon ethic and applying it not just to a president, which is untenable, but to a whole administration. So if Gonzales violates the law, A, it's not illegal, and B, earlier this week, President Bush said it at his press conference, gee, what do you mean that? When has Congress criticized the Attorney General? In other words, that is such an explicit lie that it's hard to even debate a president who won't stipulate what the Congress has done. It was Specter and Coburn, not only Leahy and Schumer, all of whom implied or said that what Gonzales has done is legally actionable.
Well, I think the president's found a way to unite the country. Keep Alberto Gonzales in office. That unites the country against that decision. Anyway, thank you, Michael Isikoff, and thank you, Mark Green.